Hello, everybody. It's your favorite Monday night show. We're talking wrestling and racing, or racing and wrestling, or however way you want to do it. It is your favorite show here at Greenville Sports Media, and we've been kind of out of it the last couple of weeks. Brandon's had some things. I've had some things going on, plus sickness. So we are finally back together again. They got the band back together again as Hall and Nash used to say. We are live tonight. We want to thank Ardensburg and Grill in Central South Carolina, Donnie and Angie, for putting us together and sponsoring our show. We also want to thank Hyundai of Anderson. Use code HOA24. Go by see Herschel and the group over at Hyundai of Anderson. They will treat you right. Also, Upstate Physical Therapy, Pepsi Cola, Clemson Wine Bar on Patrick Square in Clemson. We also want to thank Beef and Rib, the new restaurant that's going to be opening up in Westminster. And, of course, we want to thank all of you and Greenville Sports Media. Well, let's bring him in. We haven't talked in a while. We've texted back and forth, but that's about the amount that we've had lately. But we have no basketball tonight, so we're finally back together. Brandon, how you doing?
I am absolutely fantastic.
Have you had any events lately?
I had SWA 2 weeks ago, and then I had a SWA benefit show the following weekend. So it was the same building, a lot of the same wrestlers, but one was a regular show, one was a benefit show, one was the second Saturday in November, and one was the third Saturday in November. Now, December, I'll stay really, really busy with our church because of Christmas. We do something almost every single Saturday in December. So I think the only show I'll have this month will be the SWA Toys for Tots show, which comes up not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the second Saturday in December. We do it every year in December. It's our Toys for Tots show where we encourage all the fans and the wrestlers too to bring a toy for all the kids that otherwise won't get Christmas. And then if you're a fan and you bring a toy, that pays your ticket to the show. So you don't have to buy a ticket. Your ticket is free.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, let's just jump right to it. I'm just going to briefly go through what happened 2 weeks ago. AEW had the Full Gear, and honestly, I thought it was a great pay-per-view. I didn't see but maybe 2 matches that were suspect, and I'm sure you're going to tell me which 2 they are, so I'm not even going to worry about that, but let's go to it. I'm going to quickly go through who won the matches, and then I'm going to get your grade, and then we'll go on to TNA and WWE, who both had pay-per-views this weekend. All right, we go to our first match of the night. We're not going to go through 0 Hour. It's not really worth talking about. It just makes the show longer as far as AEW show longer. All right, we get the Champagne Championship celebration between Mariah May and Maina Shirakawa. And, of course, it ended up with Shirakawa putting the hurt on Mariah May. Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher gets the win in the match of the night. Roderick Strong versus MJF. MJF, of course, gets the win and hurts Roderick Strong, which causes a rift between Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, who got to the ring too late to save him. Swerve Strickland loses to Bobby Lashley in a match where Bobby Lashley basically put Swerve Strickland through a clinic of pain. I mean, it looked painful watching Swerve get just destroyed by Bobby Lashley. Switchblade Jay White versus Hangman Adam Page. Jay White gets the win again over Adam Page. AEW International Championship match. Ricochet loses to Tedesca. And I definitely know that Ref Brandon wants to talk about that one. TNT Championship match. Daniel Garcia defeats previous champion Jack Perry and is the new TNT champion. I think that's long overdue. AEW Tag Team Championship match is the 4-way Private Party. Defeats the Acclaim, the Outrunners, and the Kings of the Black Throne, which is their new name for the House of Black. And TBS champion Chris Statlander faced Mercedes Monet in the TBS championship match. This was actually a decent match. I actually loved this ladies' match. Statlander gave a performance and a half, and Monet actually acted like she knew how to wrestle again. And then, of course, Orange Cassidy versus John Moxley. Moxley he manhandled Cassidy. Cassidy had some bright points, but it was a beating afterwards. Well, Rev, what matches you want to talk about real quick in this one?
Well, honestly, I thought all the matches were good, but I wouldn't say any of them this time were great, and that's probably what separated, this pay-per-view from most of what AEW does, because most of the time, and you and I talk about it, their pay-per-views are always really, 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 really good. And this one wasn't. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't top-notch like all the other ones. And it was more predictable than all the rest of them. But I don't think any of the matches were bad this time, because Chris Statlander actually made Mercedes look good. Otherwise, that match would have been bad. And to me, the worst part of the night, and the match wasn't bad, but it just was awful, that the main event match was basically John Moxley just beating the tar out of Orange Cassidy. And that's a bad main event match when you wait 12 hours for the main event, and then when it comes around for the first 15 minutes of it, it was one-sided. I mean, the first 15 minutes of it, Orange Cassidy didn't do absolutely anything whatsoever. Now, I think you'd have been crazy if you expected Moxley to drop the belt to Orange Cassidy, but I thought Orange Cassidy would have done something. But until the last 5 minutes, that match was completely one-sided. It was basically a job match, which is bad for a main event match. And to me, that was the worst part of the entire night. But I was glad to see Bobby Lashley look so good, and I was glad to see Chris Statlander make Mercedes look good. But the best thing right now about AEW is, and I don't think you and I have talked about it yet, but a few weeks back, the Young Bucks took themselves off TV and said they were going to be off TV for the foreseeable future. And I was like, thank God, that's the best thing AEW could do. I don't know if it was their decision. I don't know if it was their decision or Tony Khan's decision, but I've told you multiple times that the Young Bucks are not TV draws. Nobody watches TV to see the Young Bucks. And to go out there and win the tag team belts and then win every single match you're in is not benefiting the company at all. And they're finally off of TV. And then a couple of weeks ago, Toni Storm announced her retirement, but I think everybody knows this is obviously an angle. She's not retired, so I'm guessing this is her way to get rid of the timeless gimmick. So I guess we'll find out when she returns what it's going to be. But she was supposed to be booked for, I want to say, CMLL next weekend. And then today she announced she's not going to be on the card. And I was thinking, well, if you retired, of course you're not going to be on the card. So obviously if she's booked other places, she hasn't retired. But I guess it's her way of getting rid of the timeless Toni Storm character. So I guess we'll find out what she's going to be when she comes back. But the best match to me that night was the women's match, because Chris Statler made Mercedes look so good. And the match didn't go too long. It wasn't one-sided, and both of them looked really, really good.
The only thing that I couldn't understand is the following week the following show on Dynamite, they actually broke up Monet and Camilla. So, I mean, that was such a short-lived group, our grouping, that it just kind of threw people for a thing, but I guess they had to do it that way to get her off of TV for a little while. But anyway, actually, like I said, I thought Fletcher versus Ospreay was a great match. I think that match lived up to the expectations. I think Ospreay letting Fletcher get that win, I think that creates great storyline. I think it's his way of letting Fletcher have his moment. I do understand that he had a say in whether or not he lost that match, and that he didn't have a problem with it. And, that just shows you what kind of friend he is to Fletcher off screen. I think the Strickland Lashley match was a little surprising to me. I mean, I thought Lashley was going to win. You don't bring him in to lose, but to do it in the fashion that he did it was, that's your former world champion getting manhandled out there in a match like that. It kind of threw me off. I did not expect White to beat Adam Page again. That's something that I did not. I mean, I thought I had picked White, but I thought Hangman was going to win it. But I was right, but there was something I didn't expect to be right about. So anyway, we'll leave the AEW at that. And now we turn our attention to what happened on November 29th. We're talking about TNA Turning Point. This was actually a pretty good pay-per-view. Brandon, did you get a chance to take a look at it?
I haven't seen it in its entirety, but I've seen the highlight packages and I've seen a couple of the matches, but I have not seen it from start to finish.
Well, we started off with Rosemary and Xia Brookside and Savannah Evans in this particular match. Rosemary defeats both of them. So we go from that match, and I'm sorry, folks, if I'm just kind of going through some of these. Some of these matches are really not worth going through a whole bunch of explanation about. But the next thing we do is we see the Walking Weapon. He does his little Steve McLean. They talked about him in his DQ match. But then we go to Mike Santana versus Frankie Kazarian. A match in which Mike Santana got the win over Kazarian. I really thought Kazarian was going to win that match, but I was definitely wrong on that one. What was your thoughts, Brandon?
Well, I'm glad Frankie Kazarian didn't win. I mean, he still looks really good for his age, but at his age, the best thing for him to do now is kind of be like John Cena and just put other guys over. I mean, that's where he's at now, so I'd rather him put Mike Santana over than Frankie win the match, because it does nothing for him or Mike Santana. Frankie Kazarian's done, 55,000 things in his career, especially in TNA, and now at his age, it's just best to put the other guy over. So I was glad to see him put over Mike Santana.
All right, then we go to the Turning Point Thanksgiving Turkey Bowl match. Don't ask me, folks. This is just something that they decided to throw together. So I'm sure Brandon's sitting here going, oh, Lord, here's another AEW angle. But here it is in TNA. Joe Hendry, Eric Young, Hammerstone, Rhino, Brian Myers, and John Schuyler are in this match. Joe Hendry is your winner, which, of course, you would have thought based on the other names in this particular match. He gets the win. Your thoughts, Riff?
If I'm not mistaken, I think every year at Turning Point or something around this time of the year, they make somebody lose and wear a turkey suit. It seems like they do it about every year. But this year, Joe Hendry pinned Brian Myers, who, of course, used to be Kurt Hawkins, and Brian Myers was supposed to wear the turkey suit because of that loss. But, I mean, in a six-way match, there really ain't a whole lot that you can do except to not mess up, because with six guys in the ring at one time, there's really so much calamity, you can't do a whole lot, but they made the best of what they could do in that match.
All right, then we go next to our Turning Point first practically your first title match of the night. The TNA X Division champion Moose takes on the Laredo Kid, and of course Moose defeats him. I mean, I don't think anybody really saw Kid winning this match, but you never know. What's your thoughts, Brandon?
Well, the match went 8 minutes, which is about all it should go. And, of course, Moose has done everything in TNA you could do. He is Mr. TNA, and most folks are surprised he hasn't left there by now, because he's done all he really can do. But maybe he just enjoys only having to work a few days, out of the month. But it was a good match, not a great match, not a bad match, but a good match. You can give it 2.5 or 3 stars, because the match wasn't bad, but like you said, I think everybody in the world knew Moose was going to win that match.
Yep. All right, we go to our, which I think was the match of the night. I'll get your thoughts on it. The no DQ Josh Alexander versus Steve McLean match. And this one, Steve McLean actually beat Josh Alexander. I was actually thinking this was going to be the other way around, but maybe the rumors are true that Josh Alexander may be AEW bound and they're giving him some losses.
Yeah, I don't know exactly when, Josh's contract runs out. It could be next week and could be, 3-4 months from now. But I think, obviously, unless they offer him a whole lot of money, he's going to go to either WWE or AEW. But Steve Macklin can also wrestle, so it's not like Josh lost to some nobody. I don't really think that losing to Steve Macklin really hurts you real good or real bad, if at all. Steve Macklin's actually a really good wrestler, so maybe they'll do something with him off this win over Josh Alexander.
All right, then we go to our TNA World Tag Team Championship match. Matt and Jeff Hardy versus Ace Austin and Zachary Wentz versus Kushida and Matt Riddle. That's right, folks. The Matt Riddle. This was he was a replacement for Trey McGill. So this was quite the shock. I wasn't seeing it coming. I don't know if you did, Ref, but nonetheless, Matt and Jeff Hardy defeat Ace Austin, and Zachary Wentz and Kushida and Matt Riddle.
Well, there had been rumors that Matt Riddle was going to be on TNA in some capacity for a while now, so I think everybody knew it was coming. We just didn't know exactly when. And he's already appeared for Major League Wrestling, so you knew the next step up would be TNA. But I was surprised to see it there. But, I mean, to make your debut in TNA and get to be in the ring with the Hardy Boys is a pretty good way to make your debut for a wrestling company.
Oh, yeah. Well, the next thing up is the Women's TNA Knockout World Championship. 2 out of 3 falls. Masha Slamovich versus Jordan Grace. They think a lot of people thought this was Jordan Grace's swan song. And maybe it is, because Slamovich defeats Jordan Grace 2 out of 3 and keeps and retains her TNA championship. Grace went up 1-0. Then Rosemary seemed to be watching and got involved. But either way, Slamovich got the 2 wins that she needed over Jordan Grace. And we have Slamovich is still your TNA Women's Champion.
Well, Masha is actually a really, 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 really good wrestler. So if that was Jordan Grace's last match in TNA, she picked a fine wrestler to have her final match with, because Masha is really, really, really good. But if Jordan is leaving, it'll be interesting to see, where she goes, now, because of course everybody's going to assume she's going to Triple H, and she might. But she was already there when she was in the Royal Rumble, but she wasn't under contract. So will she go back to sign a contract, or will she go to AEW? We don't know. But you just wonder, if she does go to one of those, is her husband going to be right behind her and go wherever she goes when his contract is up, whenever that might be?
All right, then we go to our last match of the night. TNA World Championship. Nick Nemeth takes on Eddie Edwards. I thought this would be a decent match, and it was pretty decent. There was some moments that I thought was pretty sad. There was a lot of missed hits, but overall, I think it was a pretty decent match. And Nick Nemeth is still your TNA World Champion by defeating Eddie Edwards.
And I think that's a good thing. I've always thought that, whether you want to call him Nick or Dolph or whatever, is a really good wrestler. He just never had the charisma. I don't know why, because when he was on TV, it appeared he had charisma, but it just, for some reason, with the fans just never got behind him, except for when he had Vicky Guerrero managing him all those years ago. So I'm glad to see Nick Nemeth finally getting to do something at this stage in his career. And I've never been a big fan of Eddie Edwards. I don't know why. I just have never liked him. So when he has a match like he had Friday night, when I walk away saying it's a good match, that's about as much as I can do with Eddie Edwards. I've just never been an Eddie Edwards fan.
I liked it back when he was a tag team with his original, was it the Wolves?
Yeah, him and Wesley Richards.
Yeah, I think they was good as a tag team. I have not liked his singles. I know he's done pretty decent, but I've just never been a big fan.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
All right, well, folks, now we get to what everybody's been waiting on, Survivor Series 2024. Of course, there was not but just 5 matches, which was pretty astonishing. We didn't get to see Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, which a lot of people thought was stupid that they did not put them on this show in some kind of capacity. But let's go. But there was a lot of different things that were left wide open, so we'll go over that. First thing to do is we open up with the Women's War Games match, and Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Io Sky, and Naomi defeated Liv Morgan, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, Raquel Rodriguez, and Candice LeRae. And this match, honestly, was pretty good. There was a lot of great high moments in it, but there were some low moments in it. But overall, I give it a solid A-.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I watched the whole match, and the only bad thing that I, off the top of my head, thought, man, that's bad, was the Nia Jax chair shots. Those were awful. But I know why they were awful, because this day and time, they're not allowed to hit in the head. So she was letting her opponent completely stop before she hit him. But the problem was she was swinging the chair halfway and then stopping, and then letting them stop and then hit him. So by the time she swung, she was only swinging the chair like 2 inches. I mean, it looked absolutely awful. That was terrible.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I don't think anything else in the match really stood out as being bad. So I thought it was personally a good match. And, Triple H has shown that outside of WrestleMania and SummerSlam, basically every PLE they have now is 5 matches. And this one, we should have all known it's only going to be 5 matches, because you had the 2 War Games matches that are going to be forever long. And I'm glad they only had 5 matches, because it lasted 3 hours and 34 minutes. So if they'd have had 6 matches, 7 matches, we'd have been going past the 4-hour mark. So for that amount of time, 5 matches was all they needed. But, back in the day, Survivor Series was one of their big 4 PLEs, and it still is, but they still only had 5 matches. But I'd say the Women's War Game match, I'd give it a A- or B+.
All righty. Well, then we go to the United States Championship match, and this is a match that you could tell this was Shinsuke Nakamura's title to get, because he re-signed with the WWE. Because he defeated LA Knight, someone who's finally getting his due and is already dropping the title. So for them to do that, LA Knight has to be up for a world title in singles or in tag somehow, because this makes no sense putting it on Nakamura at this point.
I hope it means LA Knight's coming off TV and changing his character up. I used to be a big fan of LA Knight when he was Eli Drake, but now he comes out there wrestling these looking like Target store-bought wrestling shoes, and just walks around saying yeah all the time, and I've just gotten tired of it. That's just me, but I just got tired of it. But I made a YouTube video about this match last week, saying that if Shinsuke didn't win this match, they need to just stop putting him in title matches, because every time he leaves TV, he'll be gone 3-4 months. He'll come back, attack somebody, go for the belt, get beat, he's gone again. Then he comes back, he attacks somebody, goes for the belt, gets beat, He's gone again. So I done got sick of seeing Shinsuke come back and supposed to be this huge threat and keep losing all the time. So I said last week that if Shinsuke didn't win this match, he needs to just be completely taken out of title matches, because it's dumb saying this guy's a threat when he can't win a match. So I thought Shinsuke needed to win the match, because they built him up for the past 2 years for being this big, huge threat that never wins a match. So I thought he needed to win the match. And since it's a mid-card title, I don't really think it hurts LA Knight to lose the match. Plus, he had the belt for, I think, almost 4 months. So it's not like he just got it 2 weeks ago. But I don't really think anybody cares if you lose a mid-card title. Gunther lost the IC title and won the world belt, 6 months later, 5 months later?
Yeah, but are they going to put him in a Cody Rhodes / Gunther type match anytime soon? I just don't see it.
I think LA Knight is where he needs to be. He is a mid-card wrestler, and that's what he is. He's right where he should be. All
right. Well, there you heard it, folks. Brandon's speaking his mind on that one. Now we go to a match that I actually think was the match of the night. Personally, the Intercontinental Championship triple threat match. Braun Breaker defeated Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser in a match where they beat the living crap out of each other. And folks, those were not fake shots, because they had welts all over each other in this match.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd say it was either match of the night or second behind Gunther and Damian Priest, but any match that Sheamus is in is always going to be a brutal match. But that match was good because we got to actually see how good Ludwig Kaiser is. Ludwig Kaiser is really, really, really good, and I don't think people understand how good he truly is, because he's with Gunther, and everybody knows he's one of Gunther's henchmen. But Ludwig Kaiser is actually a really good wrestler. So maybe Saturday night was the beginning of what we see from Ludwig Kaiser, because he did a phenomenal job.
All right. Well, there you hear it. I think Braun Breaker did an awesome job in that match, honestly. He had some well-timed hits and put on a clinic, to be honest with you. That's just my opinion. All right.
Yeah, he's good.
Oh, yeah. All right, now let's go to what Ref just talked about. WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. Gunther defeats Damian Priest. Well, there was some help, but we won't go into that. I'll let Ref talk about it. This match, I think Gunther could have done it on his own, but there was some shenanigans at the end. Tell us about it, Ref.
Yeah, I don't really... I mean, I understand it to the point of, for whatever reason, they're trying to continue a feud between Damian Priest and Finn Balor, which I think it's time to move on. If Damian Priest has been out of Judgment Day for 3 months now, and you can't find something else to do with Finn Balor, take him off TV. But it's way past time to move on from their feud. It should be over with. So I don't really understand why they keep trying to have that thing go. But it also hurts Gunther when he's a phenomenal wrestler, and you make it look like he can't beat Damian Priest without having a 175-pound Finn Balor out there. So you're not helping Gunther by doing that. But I also just don't understand why they can't just kill that feud, let Damian Priest move on, let Finn Balor and Judgment Day move on, and go their separate ways. But the match up until that point was fantastic. The way Damian Priest sold his shoulder the whole match was really, really, really impressive. And then you could hear him one time tell the referee, give me a moment, it's out. And he sold it like you should. So it was fantastic.
All right, now we go to our final match of the night, and there's somebody I want to bring up in this match, but I'll wait until I get done with this. Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Jimmy and Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn defeated the new Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Big Bronson Reed, and the guy who I think was the star of the night, Jacob Fatu, who had some unreal spots in this match and really has turned himself into a main star. And I think, there's so many things that's going to happen. I mean, tonight we're going to find out what maybe the favor was. Tonight we're going to find out, what's going to come of the new the OG bloodline versus the new A. Or are we going to finally break this off? Just a lot of different things. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think, this is my personal opinion, but I think what's going to happen is somehow, some way, CM Punk and Roman Reigns are fixing to start a feud. And I think they are going to start a feud, and then you'll see the Usos just go back to being a normal tag team, and then this will be the end of the Roman Reigns side of the bloodline. Then they'll do whatever with Solo and his gang. But I think this feud that's fixing to start between Punk and Roman is going to be the end of Roman's bloodline. But I don't know what that favor is going to be. I mean, it might be that Roman becomes champion and Punk wants a shot at Roman, but I just don't see Roman getting the belt right now. So I don't know what else it could be outside of that, but logic tells you that's what it's going to be. But when they start a feud between Punk and Roman, which obviously is fixing to happen, which side is Paul Heyman going to be on? That's the interesting thing, because right now he seems like he's for both of them, but if they start feuding, he has to pick a side. So which side is he going to be on? But I don't know how much of that we'll find out tonight, because tonight it's supposed to be this New Day anniversary thing. So I think most of tonight's Raw is going to be about them, which to me, the New Day getting their own Raw tells you one of two things. Either Big E's coming back, and they're going to announce that tonight, or they're breaking up, because no other tag team ever has gotten an own Raw dedicated to them. So for that to happen, something has to happen on that show. So either Big E's coming back, or they're breaking up. One of those two things.
Well,
probably they're breaking up. But back to the whole Punk and Roman thing, I think it's going to be great to see where it goes. What is the favor? Which side is Paul Heyman going to be on? And is this for sure the end of the whole Roman bloodline thing? I think it is. I think it's good that nothing happened Saturday night, because everybody thought the whole match, leading up to the match, during the match, everybody thought CM Punk was going to either turn on Roman or turn on the whole bloodline. So for nothing to happen, makes everybody want to come back for more, because everybody assumed it was going to happen, especially when the match ended. And there was about a 7-minute gap between the match ending and it going off air. Typically, when that last match ends, as soon as that match ends, it goes off, unless something's going to happen. So for them to make it last that long, for nothing to happen, made everybody keep thinking, okay, here it comes, especially at the very, very end, when Punk walks through the curtain and then comes back out. Because then if you see that, then you're thinking, okay, here it comes, and then nothing happened. So obviously for them to let you hear CM Punk tell Paul Heyman, you owe me a favor, everybody in the world's thinking, what is it? And now you're going to come back to find out, what it is. The only thing Fatu done wrong in that match, and if you're a wrestling fan, you may not have noticed it, but if you're a wrestling guru like you and I, you did notice it. But on the moonsault, he slipped. We're humans. It's wrestling. It's live. It's not a movie scene. There is no takes. You mess up, everybody sees it. On the moonsault, he slipped. Not a big deal. It happens. But he tried to make it seem like he only slipped because his knee went out. But he got up grabbing his left knee. But then when he switched rings, he grabbed his right knee. So he done that. He made it kind of obvious that he wasn't really hurt. But outside of that, Fatu did a fantastic job. But I think he's the best wrestler in the whole family. He is an amazing talent.
Well, something I heard on Busted Open, and we'll close with this, was Bully Ray, Mark Henry, and the host was talking, there's something that a lot of people might not be looking at. The favor that Punk could be wanting could be he wants Roman to get him a match with The Rock. Because remember, The Rock screwed CM Punk so many years back whenever he was supposed to face Cena, and The Rock took the match and, of course, won the title and then went on to face Cena. Then, once again, The Rock has put himself in the middle of things and has messed up Punk and kept Punk from getting main event matches. So they brought that particular thing up be a good, because it seems like Triple H is always wanting to finish things off from the past to bring everything present. And that was a possibility. I think that would be a good storyline, that maybe the favor is for Heyman to get The Rock to sign a contract to face Punk.
Well, if that were to happen, I'd be okay with it, but I'm not sure that it would. But if it did, it would be great, to make something that's from that long ago come back and happen now would be great. Because that was a long time ago. Yeah,
but you remember Punk's always made a comment about stuff in the past that he's going to get, and he said it in AEW too. He wants to revisit stuff that he was screwed out of in the past, and this could be one of those moments that he's talked Triple H into, that, hey, I want Rock. I want revenge for how he screwed me out of my world title to face Cena, and also out of a WrestleMania moment too.
That'd be good. That'd be cool.
All right, well, folks, that's it for this week. Brandon, great having you. You got any events coming up this weekend?
Not this weekend. My church is going to see some Christmas lights on Saturday, so of course the kids are going to want to go to that. So that's where I'll be coming up on Saturday.
All right. Well, folks, we want to thank you for joining in to Rasslin and Racin. Also, as you see on my head, I've got our official Rasslin and Racin hat. Make sure you go to redbubble.com, the Furman Joust collection, get your Rasslin and Racing cap. You too can be a winner with us. Also, we want to thank, like we said, Hyundai of Anderson. Use code HOA24, and you too can get a great deal on a car, truck, anything that they sell. They will make you a great deal. Use that code. You will get a special deal, plus maybe even a special prize courtesy of Rasslin and Racing. There is details inside of Hyundai of Anderson for that. See Herschel. Also want to thank Donnie and Angie at Ardensburg and Grill in Central South Carolina, and also their soon-to-be new opened Beef and Rib. Finally, the delays are coming off of that, and it's going to be open soon, folks. We are finally done with the delays, so we are now in the countdown for Beef and Rib in Westminster, South Carolina. That is a meat and 3, 6 days a week. You will not want to miss it. Every day, something just absolutely yummy in your mouth. And also, we want to thank Upstate Physical Therapy, Pepsi Cola, Sitting Pretty Dog Grooming, and all of our other sponsors. Go to greenvillesportsmedia.com, FurmanJoust.com, AWholePackOfWolves.com, and you will see all of our sponsors. We thank each and every one of them. Well, folks, that's it for us. We'll listen to you. Give us your comments on our YouTube and let us know what you think. And we appreciate you listening to Rasslin and Racing, part of the Greenville Sports Media Podcast.